Hello everybody, this is a video I'm making as part of my preparation for Royal Ascot, and I'm going to walk you through some of the process of the handicap snip methodology, and we'll come up with a long shortlist. First thing I'm going to say, this is the Wokingham Stakes. This is a race we've got a good record in. Of course, we had the lovely anti-post bet on, what was he called? York Glory, all those years ago, 2013, 25 to 1 I put him up and he absolutely dotted up. We also had Interception, I think we were on that one, and yeah, it's been a good race. I should have been a handicap snip special bet on Hey Jonesy, who was 40 to 1 at the time, and I bottled putting it up. It's a shame. The reason I didn't select it was because it had run in the Britannia Stakes earlier in the week and finished stone bonk last. If it hadn't have been for that, he would have been the selection. Anyway, so it's a fantastic race for betting, and I'm going to go through it. So these are all the entries. The weights are already decided. That's the first thing you need to know. So unless you've got a penalty for after winning a race after the 27th of May, you get a penalty. But other than that, and we'll see in a bit, that any form where you're going to get raised in the weights won't be it's an early closing race, that's all I'm saying. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to chuck out all the ones who are probably either not going to get in the race, and even if they do, they aren't good enough. And that's anything rated 94 or below. The last 11 winners have all been rated 97 and a higher or something, and something like 15 of the last 16 have been rated 95 or higher, and I'm expecting that to be the case again. So a lot of these are not going to get in the race anyway, so I immediately knocked them out of consideration because there's none in there. I did look at every single one of them. There's none in there that I would put on the shortlist anyway, and a lot of these other ones down here, like Bergerac and Aramis Grey and these ones, they're going to get knocked off the list anyway. Okay? Now, the other thing I'm going to do immediately, the last horse aged 7 or older to win this race was, let me go, I've got the stats, I'll go and look it up, I'll tell you. 1998 was the last time a horse aged 7 or older won the race. And if you go back before that, it was another 20 years before that. So they do win, but very rarely, and I just don't like them. I just don't like the older horses in races like this. You want to be with the 4, 5 and possibly 6-year-olds. The first thing you're going to do, I'll stop the video and I'll get rid of all the older horses. So here we go. 30 are going to go to post, or 28 is the maximum field. And we've already got rid of all of these horses down here are not going to be under consideration for a bet. As I remind you, I've said for many years in this methodology, when I say they're not on the short list, that is the short list, that is those horses that are under consideration for a bet. But any horse that ends up running in the race could potentially win. So when I say I'm dismissing it, the phrase is I'm dismissing it for consideration for a bet. Okay? Bear that in mind. So if I say I'm dismissing that one, it means I'm not prepared to bet it. Okay? You know all of that, those who've been with me enough time. Right, so what's the next thing I'm going to do? Give me 1 second. Right, the other thing I determined by looking at the history of the races, every winner virtually has been a 6 furlong winner in the past, has already previously won at 6 furlongs. And you can see, like, there's one here, Ropey Guest, never won at 6 furlongs. He will be going out, and I will find any others who are not 6 furlong winners. And there were, in fact, quite a few of those. Chipstead and some others. Fine Wine, Spirit of Light, St. Lawrence, Albashire, Ropey Guest. So there's quite a few non-6 furlong winners, so that also shortens the list. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is eliminate 2 other things. Any horse aged 5 and older that has not won a handicap, and any horse, any horse that is 5 or older not won a handicap, And the other ones is ones that did not run in a handicap last time out, or on the all-weather. Now, the other thing I think is crucial is good recent form combined with having recent, I say 50 days since the last run, but I want you to have at least, I'm going to say, top 6 finish. So, for instance, I can see one here, Flaming Rib. He last ran 55 days ago, and he finished 7th. Jumbie is running today, so I'm not going to, because he's running, but he'll be running a group race. So they're both going to go, Flaming Rib and Jumbie. Coachello finished 8th. Asjad last ran 84 days ago. Coachello finished 8th. Let's go through the rest of these. Who else has been down the field on a recent start? Fresh, First Folio. Tanmawi, very disappointing last time out. I made him a max bet. Spangled Mac, Hierarchy, Strike Red. So, that's got rid of all of those. So we're whittling the field down. There was an entry of 77 and we're down to these. There are quite a few fillies still left in, and they're definitely worth considering. Aramis Grey is a filly, more of an all-weather horse. Doesn't look good enough, but you can't just dismiss them willy-nilly. Princess Shabnam, she's a nice filly, but she ran in a listed race last time out. That's no good. So I'll just complete the task, and then we'll have a look at who's really left. Okay? Well, here we go. We're down to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I think that's 9. That's 9 left in to consider. Very interesting. So, but I'll go through each of these and we'll consider them whether they've got a major chance or not. Okay, the first one to have a look at is the number 12, Hurricane Ivor. This is an ex-William Haggas horse, now trained by Mrs. Harrington in Ireland. He has won a handicap. He's won more than one handicap. He's won this year, which is important. I don't want anything that hasn't won for a couple of years or so. But if we have a look at his preferences, he's won on heavy, good to soft, good to soft, good to soft, good to soft. So he really wants, at the fastest, he wants good ground. Whether there'll probably water, or there could be thunderstorms. We don't know what the going is going to be. Let's have a look at his official marks. He has been highest rated 110. He has won a Group 3 2 years ago in September of 21. Not that that's very relevant. He won the Portland Handicap off 102. And he's racing here off, let me just remind myself, 103. So he's going to have to win. The highest mark he's won off in a handicap is 102. So he's going to have to win off his highest ever career mark at 6 years old. And he's had 26 starts. Okay. Before I continue, I have got another filter that I want to apply. I'll go and do that. And that is, I need a minimum number of career starts. And anything that doesn't meet the number of career starts that I want, at least 10, is going to get the Spanish Archer the elbow. Okay, so that process only eliminated one horse, who is the market leader, called Orazio. He's won a couple of times this season already, but he's only had 6 starts in his life. And the form's all worked out, but he is running off 102. I don't know what he's actually running off in the race. Yeah, he's 102. So he did win very impressively in a 8 runner race at Ascot, but both of his wins have come on softer ground, and whether the ground is going to be suitable come Royal Ascot, he was possibly a group horse as a 2-year-old. He could well be a group horse in a handicap here, but if he wants soft ground, and he's not necessarily going to get it. If it does come up soft, he'd probably be very hard to beat. But anyway, I've knocked him out. So we're down to these 8. Now, of these, there is one 6-year-old. They can win, but he's got to win off the highest mark he's ever won off. It's possible, but I won't be backing him to do it. So I'm not dismissing his chance. He has got his chance. He ran very well last time out, but I just think he's off too high a mark. And I think there's likely to be something. The point is that we're looking for something that's really well handicapped, that fits the profile, but has got scope to be way better than their mark, right? Something that's well in. He's not well in. So we're now down to 7. Now, one other thing that I pay attention to is, where did you have your prep run? And there's one track that is an absolute graveyard for Royal Ascot, particularly for this race, and that is Epsom. Whether it's a bit close to the meeting or it just doesn't suit, but in the last, I don't know how many years, 20, 25 years, God knows how many horses have run at Epsom as their prep run for this race, and they've all got beat. So I know, for instance, that Probe ran in the big race at Ascot, so I'm going to take him out. He's got every chance. He's progressive. He's the right age, but I'm going to take him out. And he definitely wants cutting the ground. He's another one. If it comes up softer, he might have a big chance. But he's already won twice this year and gone second, and he's climbed the weights. He's a progressive horse. He won on the all-weather, then he was second at Newmarket, then he won at Newmarket in a 21 runner race, but he'd already had 2 prep runs to get him ready for that. He then got beat at Epsom, and he's got to run off that higher mark. I'm going to take him out. Now, let's have a look at Lethal Nymph. Lethal Nymph ran at Windsor last time out on his seasonal comeback in a Class 3 and was well beaten. It was actually not a bad race. Spanish Star, or I could have backed at Epsom, went and won, but he didn't run very well. So I'm going to take him out. He finished 6th of 9. I don't think that's much of a prep run. He might, and he has only had the 10 starts. That is a bare minimum 10 starts. But I really want something with a decent recent, at least a decent recent run. So I'm going to take out Lethal Nymph. He's also rated 95, which is really below my ceiling. I'm really looking for something rated 97 or higher, really. Getting up something carrying around 9 stone as well. So he's going to go, Lethal Nymph. I know somebody in the press fancies him. So we're down to these 5 now. Lethal Levi for Colbert. He ran an excellent race at York. But if I have a look at him, he has got put up £4 for running second. That was an okay run. Very good run, in fact. And only got beat second, but he is a front runner, or he will be in the van all the way. Badri came out of that race and won at Epsom, and Mr. Wagyu ran second at Epsom. So it's decent form, but I'm not going to be betting Lethal Levi, and I'll show you why in a bit. So Dream Composer, I really think he's a 5 furlong horse. He won at over 5 furlongs in a 6-runner race at Goodwood. Maybe Goodwood may be his target for the stewards, but only in a year ago he was rated 80. He's now rated 97, and he's got to try and produce a career best 5 years old. I just don't see him well treated enough. His best form is at 5 furlongs. His highest ratings are all 5 furlong races at Goodwood and Newmarket. He has won at Ascot off 87 over 5 furlongs, and he has got a win at Goodwood in a Class 4 off 84 over 6 furlongs. But I just don't think he's a strong stayer, so I'm going to take him out. 33 to 1 as well. So come down to these, and Hannon has got Witch Hunter. He's had 18 runs in his life. He's only ever won on the all-weather. He's had 10 runs on turf. His best run was at Chester over 7 furlongs, on 7.5 furlongs this year. And then his next start, he disappointed really in a handicap. He's running off 103. He has got to find significant improvement for me. So he's not going to be the bet. And we've now come down to Montasib, who ran excellently he has only had 10 starts as well. He ran in the Buckingham Palace Stakes last year off 97, and he was a bit unlucky in running. That was only his 4th start. It's very difficult to win at Royal Ascot with such few numbers of races. He just won at Newmarket, which is okay in a 7-runner race. He went to the front there, and they just wanted to pick up a pop. He's going to have to produce a lifetime best. He may well be able to do it after 10 runs. He's had 3 runs to get himself ready, but will they go in the Palace House Stakes? The Buckingham Palace Stakes, not the Palace House Stakes, the Buckingham Palace Stakes. They might, they might have him set up to go back in that race, because you've got Kanjar. Now, Kanjar is a fascinating horse, and if this horse runs, you're going to need a draw. There's a problem with betting anti-post at 16 to 1. If you get drawn 1, 2, 3, 4, you've got no chance. You really need to be drawn in double figures at least. So until we see the draw, but if this horse gets a good draw and he wants fast ground, they may be chucking, if it's dry weather, they might be chucking loads of water on the track all week, and the race is on Saturday, don't forget. Anyway, Kanjar, he's only had the 10 runs, and he's won 3 of them. He's had 2 runs after a break. Don't forget, he's only a 4-year-old, and he was only having his 9th start of his life. And he ran in that race with Lethal Levi, and he ran prominently, but that's not his run style. He really wants, and he was drawn high. Wasn't necessarily the place to be, drawn high. Lethal Levi led on the far side. He had Magical Spirit with him. But anyway, he needed the run, obviously, but racing him prominently is not the answer. He needs to be dropped in. They then sent him to Hamilton just the other day, and he runs an excellent race where he only gets beat a length, but they pulled 3.5 lengths clear from the 3rd, who is a well-treated, in-form horse walking on the clouds, who had won his previous start. They went a good hard gallop, and he finished really well, Kanjar. And I just want to show you something. I've fallen in love with this horse already. I don't know whether they tried him in the Air Gold Cup last year off 100, because he'd won his previous start at Haydock, but only as a 3-year-old, and it's very difficult for 3-year-olds in the Air Gold Cup. He's only £2 above his winning mark when he won at Haydock, and they didn't go quick enough for him, but he does love fast ground. But look at this run here in July of last year, which was only his, let me check how many runs he'd had. 1, 2. This was his 5th start of his life, and he runs off 94. Here he goes. 5th start of his life. He finishes 3rd of 19, or however many went to post. Let's have a look, just remind myself. 19 went to post, and it was a very valuable 3-year-olds only handicap, worth 51 grand to win, a heritage handicap. And he raced in the centre. He was held up in the rear, and headway 3 out, went 3rd inside the final furlong and kept on 3rd of 14 in the group. Now if we have a look at some of the horse, he ran off 94 there. He got beat 2 lengths, but look who won the race. Lethal Levi won the race and finished 2 lengths in front of Kanjar, but Kanjar was giving him £9 in that race. And if we have a little look, we'll see that this time Lethal Levi, wherever he is, where are you, mate? Lethal Levi, 9 stone 2, Kanjar, 8 stone 13. So he's £12 better off with Lethal Levi for that race at Newmarket. And if we call that race up, Kanjar was 3rd. Just a quarter of a length behind is a filly called Azure Blue, trained by Michael Dodds. And we have a look at her. And this shows how strong the form is. She just won a Group 2 at York, the Duke of York Stakes. She won a listed race at Newmarket over 6 furlongs, and then the Group 2 Duke of York Stakes. And she's actually won 4 races on the bounce. And there she is there on her very next start after running in that Heritage Handicap. She then won at the July track. Then she goes to York and runs very well, runs 4th of 89. Then she wins a Fillies Handicap again. Then another listed race, then another listed race, and now a Group 2. And if we have a look at that result, Kanjar was giving her £9. So could well be an extremely strong piece of form. And with only 10 starts and the ability to go on quick ground, hopefully they don't chuck a load of water on. Hope this video is not too long. I'll try and edit it for you. But Kanjar, 16-1 best odds. Hopefully the stiff finish, because he'll definitely stay further than 6, but 6 is ideal. And hopefully they'll go nice and hard, and he can settle really well in the middle of the pack and come storming home. We need the draw and fast ground. I'm going to track the horse, and this is the quote from Jim Crowley, who won on him last September. He said, when he won at Haydock in a small field, we absolutely hacked. Kanjar had no cover and we dashed for home. He's a decent horse who probably wants an end-to-end gallop. He's got the job done and he'll be seen in a better light when they go a strong pace. And he's already going to be well in based on his last run. That run should have put him really sharp. Hopefully he gets declared. Montasib goes to the other race, so we don't have to choose between them. And if we can get 14 or 1 or something on the day, if he's declared, we get the price. I'm going to be asking you to do a handicap slip special bet, okay? Because not a lot of people are going to realise that I think he's a really, really well treated horse. He's only £1 higher than when he won. I mean, the form with Azure Blue and Lethal Levi, if you look at Lethal Levi, who was 2 lengths in front of him, you know, he's had 20 starts. And even after 20 starts, he was able to run really, really well and only just get beat in a valuable Class 2. And he's £12 worse off with Kanjar. So there you go. Bit of content for you for Saturday morning. Hope you enjoyed the video. I've definitely got my eyes on Perotto. He could also do with fast ground and a strong gallop for the Hunt Cup. I'm bringing it all together and I'll produce some more video content for Royal Ascot in the coming days. And well, we've got about 2 weeks to go now. I think it's 2 weeks today or 3 weeks today. When is it? The 24th of June. So that's 2 weeks today, the Wokingham Stakes. If you did want to take a bit of 16-1, if you think, you know, just as a win bet, in case, you know, it turns into a William Haggas plunge, Kanjar, here we go. He's 3rd favourite. Lethal Levi is really well fancied as well. But those are my selections. Orazio, he wants soft. Kanjar, Lethal Levi is too high in the weights for me. Probe, he's got a big chance. Lethal Nymph, he's on the short list. And Montasib, but I believe Montasib will go for the 7 furlong race. So although it's a big field, it's not as competitive as it looks. It really isn't. And Kanjar, hopefully he gets declared and we can have a big old bet and get 6 and 7 places, and it'd be very hard to keep out of the frame. All the best. Hope you enjoyed that video.